around the corner, got them shades on my eyes. It's a pretty little thing by my side that's flawless. Why you niggas still chasing roaches? Collecting all this money on the roads like I'm homeless. A nigga like me.
Welcome back. This is Nicardo Media House. Good day to everyone. Welcome back to the viewers. Glad to have you here back again. Today I got be the World Cup preview of the Reggae Girlz. The World Cup 2023 already off, and the Reggae Girlz, scheduled to play France Sunday morning, 6 a.m. Whoever living in Jamaica, that game going to start at 5 a.m. in the morning. So, I hope when you wake up early out on the bed, watch the Reggae Girlz, get some vibes, after that game, you can go on and cook on the red rice. But yeah, today, before we get deep into the video, I'm going to get into a little bit of history, where this team is coming from, and the journey that, they have to be fighting just to get to here, going back to back World Cup. Many people as Jamaican don't really see this as a major success. Women football is not really highlighted that much. But I'm here to give the girls their credit, and a little bit. Yeah, so back in 2008, the Reggae Girlz went into the Olympic group stage. I think was in the first round, and they went out of that tournament in the group stage. I think America and Mexico, they were in that group and they didn't made it out. But after that, the team going to some little disarray. The team was abandoned. The federation never support the team, and all of that, financial wise, and they said they're struggling with money. And but nearly 6 years on, 2014, Sidala Mali, named the ambassador for the team, pick up the team, get fundraising, the Bob Marley Foundation to sponsor the group. And that's how the Reggae Girlz, they came back to life. And she raised around 50,000 US dollar just to can get the team in the preparation. But in 2014, they went into the Caribbean Cup and they went all the way to the final, and they, in the end, they got beaten by the Trinidad team 1-0, and they came second in that tournament. But that was a start of something big. And then 5 years on from that, history again created in 2019. The girls qualified for their first ever FIFA Women World Cup, and it's the first Caribbean country to do that. And it was a massive thing, because to qualify for your first World Cup, it was in France. The last time the men qualified for the World Cup, it was also in France. So a whole heap of history repeat itself there. But we're really happy for the girls. Are really happy for Sidala Mali, and we're giving her big thanks, to bring back this team to life. As the team were abandoned by the officials of the Federation of Jamaica. But 2023, no, but before we get to that, in 2019, the team, they came third. They went to that third spot, and again, we went on and do a thing and qualify again in 2023. No other Caribbean country has ever done it, and we have done it to qualify back to back World Cup. And it's I don't know why it's not really highlighting that much. The girls have done something that the men haven't done over the past 25, 30 years, after they made it to the 90th World Cup. But I just want to give the girls credit, man. They played tremendously hard. They played as a group. They sticked as a unit. They went into a lot of hurdles. They went in a lot of tussles with the federation, and a lot of, we can't really say certain stuff. But yeah, on Sunday they played France. It's really a big game. First ever meeting for both teams. First ever meeting for both teams. Yes, they build up to this tournament. They had a preparation in Jamaica where they camped for like a week and a half training down by Arnett Garden, Anthony Spalding Sports Complex. And after that, they went abroad and they touched down in Amsterdam, the next training camp. And, they went over in Sydney, Australia. They played Morocco a couple of days ago last week, July the 16th. They beat Morocco 1-0. And, before that, so a few months back before all of this, they played the Cup of Nations where they lost 3-0 to the Spain team, and they lost 3-2 to a Czech Republic, and they lost 3-0 to the host nation, Australia. It was a good preparation, even though it wasn't really a strong squad. Some of the players were there and some wasn't there, so but it's still a good preparation for that. But yeah, jump right into the video. Big game on Sunday, 6 a.m. Eastern time. Can't wait for that. Win, lose, or draw, we'll be supporting the Reggae Girlz. But this French team, they have their own disarray too. 7 months ago, the coach, they fired the coach, and because a whole lot of issues, not picking certain players, some political thing, and the captain, Wendy Renard, she wasn't in the squad, Diani, players like that, their top player, Lee Sommer, the Leon striker, they weren't in the squad, but, they hired that Saudi Arabia coach that was coaching in the World Cup, so the French team just starting to prepare for this tournament like 5-6 months ago. So they're not that really strong. They're still searching for their maiden woman trophy. They haven't win a trophy yet as a team. They have a very good squad. Building up to this tournament, they played the Australia team. Australia clipped them 1-0. So this French team is on their heels right now, looking to get back on their front foot against these Reggae Girlz. But listen, I'm telling you, ladies, it's not going to be this easy. We already know so now is a big team, but guess what? This Jamaica team, we are coming. It's a very good team. 50% of the players that in the squad now, they played in the last tournament in France, so you have a little experience there and a few addition like Spencer, the captain that played for Tottenham. Drew Spence, she also play for Tottenham. Big baller. We don't have our top striker, Khadija Bonisha, played for Man City, top striker. But, we gave up 12 goals in the last World Cup. We only scored one, thanks for Havana Shaloy, assist by that. Italy, we played Australia after. We lost that game 4-1. Sam Kerr scored 4. We played the Italy team. We lost 5-0. Another player, Christina Girelli, she scored a hat-trick. So we have been conceding and leaking goals and, letting players score hat-trick and more in each game we played. So we need to stop. In those 3 games, the Reggae Girlz have conceded a lot of goals with crosses coming into the box and set piece. The defender, Kanya Plummer, which she was, the captain last 4 years. I think she was partner center back with Alisa Swaby. They were playing a little bit too wide, even right in between both center half and both center half for the Reggae Girlz, they were like roughly around 7 yards from each other. You need to be a little bit more tight, you need to be a little more compact, and in Australia game, they concede again just by they're in the box going to be like Lee Summer and a shark in the box. Anything get loose, she's going to put it away. But on the flip side, with this French team, they can get past. They're also weak in the air, when ball coming across. Even though their captain Wendy Renard, she's a big girl, she's like 6'3", 6'4", but they struggle. So if we can get also ball into the box and Bonisha running late because they struggle with ball coming into the box with late runners from midfield, even the striker, just timing that late run. They don't like to defend side on, understand. So if the ball coming that way, they don't like to see players coming at them, so we need to do. And the next thing they struggle, if Bonisha can drop into the midfield as a striker and drop in that number 10, where you can pick up those little pockets and play those little 1-2s, with the likes of Jody Brown. If you do Jody Brown, it's not sure if she's going to play on Sunday. She picked up a knock in that Morocco game. She's training hard, trying to come back, but let's see how that one plans out. But if Bonisha can create with her midfield and link up play, and players that played in that midfield can run around and try to run that channels, and the wingers can get in, and create more spaces into the box and more runners so the ball can push through. The French, they don't like to defend. They like to have their own ways, get on the ball, slow down the game, build up from midfield, and try to get the ball to their most attacking player, Diani, that PSG winger. She's very quick. Denisha Blackwood, if she starts at left back, you know, whoever start in those wing back position, they're going to have to come up against Diani. She's a very direct winger. She run at you. She's a target. Once you start to bleed, she's gonna smell that, and then she smells the weakness, and then she's going to attack from there. But this French team, most people predict them to give Jamaica around 3-4-0. We can do something in this game. We have players that played in England. As I said, Khadija Bonisha, good striker. She can give us goals. She played in 39 games in 2 seasons for City and scored 29 goals. So overall, in her club, she between City and Bordeaux, 74 games, 61 goals. So she's someone that can score goals. But with this Jamaica team, Jamaica have conceded at least 3 goals in each of their previous 4 games against European opposition. France have won each of their last 3 opening games at a FIFA Women's World Cup without conceding a goal. So, we're coming up against a stiff battle there between the French ladies. But Jamaica have conceded first within the opening 20 minutes in each of their last 3 competitive games. So the Swaby sisters, and whoever playing that centre back, we're going to have to lock sharp. We're going to have to keep it tight as possible. The French wingers, they're going to play really wide, so the wing backs, you can't really get straight out too much. And the midfield, it's going to be key in the midfield. When we get the ball, who can keep the ball, who can break out in transition, because that's where most of our chances going to come in this game. The French going to have a lot of possession in this game. We're going to defend deep because they are a quality player. But it's when we get out, or we can transition our game into their weakness by attacking, between both center half and the wing backs, because their wing backs like to push up. Whenever team have most of possession of the ball, their wing backs going to be up against our wing backs. So it's going to be a good game, man. Hope Lord Donaldson, can get his tactics pattern. You just hope the best for the girls. As I said before, win, lose, or draw, we're supporting the girls. Reggae Girlz, really proud. Back-to-back World Cup. Yeah, man, just go out there and just make the local island Jamaica show them say, well, look about, what Talawa. So if we get a result in this game coming Sunday, it won't be a surprise for me. Might be a surprise for you guys, but for me, I really believe in my country. I really believe in the girls. I really believe in what Sidela Mali and the backroom staff and everybody is doing with this team. And again, after this tournament, don't surprise we go to the next World Cup. That's the focus for this team. But yeah, man, just want to bless up the girls. And this is Nicardo Media House. Thank you for watching. Sunday again, review after the game. Peace out, man. Bless up. One love, Jamaica.